Accurate weather predictions are important for planning our day-to-day activities. As the world becomes more sensitized to climate change, people become more adaptable and effective in the face of the uncertainties of climate change and variability in weather changes. Kenya Meteorological Department is the official government department responsible for issuing weather advisories. The advisories are designed to let people in different fields of businesses, emergency responders and government agencies to know what weather is in store and what the impacts of that weather may be.
Every time we give climate information in form of forecasts, alerts and so on, users need to understand that information so that they can use it to plan. Mostly we hold it during the seasonal forecasts. You understand that seasonal forecasts are very useful products in planning for Kenya being a agricultural country, or whose economy is based on agriculture, and therefore, if you get it right in agriculture, then we have good economic growth.
Weather forecasting is done through the application of current technology and science to predict the state of the atmosphere for a future time and a given location.
When we realized that we are talking to ourselves, we did have a sort of a checklist. And we did even go to the ground to see exactly what is needed for us. And it came out quite clearly that there was some missing gap, that our services are highly needed in the counties. And that's why it was decided that some officers must be sent to the provinces and later on to the counties so that they can try to expound some of the weather and climate issues to the people.
And these forecasts, of course, at this particular department, they are given at a national level, but now for the county directors, now we downscale the forecast to fit within or to suit the counties. And that is how we link up with the counties. And of course also at the county levels, they give us what we call feedback from after we give the forecast to them. They also tell us how they do verification of the forecast, and they also tell us how effective are these or how helpful are these forecasts at the grassroots level.
Kenya Meteorological Department, in collaboration with the Danish government under the Green Growth Employment Program, initiated Participatory Scenario Planning, or PSP, that is going to facilitate in the downscaling of the national weather forecast and the use of standard templates for dissemination by the county directors of meteorology, CDM, in the 47 counties.
The Green Growth and Employment Program is a program that aims at improving or enhancing the enabling environment for the country's transition to move into the green development pathway. We want to shift the development of this country from the normal energy dependent in terms of high usage of resources to a situation where we make better use of our resources and at the same time be in a position to improve our development. That is the essence of this Green Growth and Employment Program.
In Kenya, especially many farmers, they are not making very good use of resources. As an example, you can say that out of the food production, something like 30% is lost before it reaches the shops and the stores. And that's an enormous waste of good resources. Part of that waste is because the farmers, they do not have access to good weather information. They don't have very good weather forecasts. They don't know about the long-term weather forecasts. They are not quite aware on how to adapt to climate change. So the Green Growth and Employment Program is trying to change that situation in a cooperation with the Meteorological Department, which also is under the Ministry of Environment and Forestry.
This framework will support delivery of timely and demand-led weather and climate products, particularly within the county meteorological services, and strengthening partnership with stakeholders.
We give this focus to service various sectors of the economy. And most of the sectors of the economy are very sensitive to climate information, or rather climate. Give an example, agriculture. They need to know when to start planting, when to start preparing land, what kind of seeds to buy, and so on and so forth. So really, that is very important for the sectors to understand how the climate, is affecting their activities.
The process of downscaling, because forecasting, we issue the national forecast. If we are to do at what we call, we have been having participatory scenario planning, is that we have the national forecast released at the national level, detailing mostly the national outlook. But as we know, the country is so diverse, so we go to the process of what we call downscaling of national forecast. Downscaling, we mean customizing it to county specific. So the process is that we have several tools that we use. At the moment, we are using FactFit as fact in the forecast interpretation tool, and also GeoCrim, and also we use geographic information systems so that we can be able to admit or give images.
PSP workshops in counties of Muranga, Kajiado, Kakamega, Nakuru, and Kilifi brought together scientific forecasts, national and county government officials, and the local community groups to produce simple and locally relevant climate information advisories.
And what we try to do is, through a number of workshops and trainings, to take key people from the societies, to give them good information about what is climate change, how do we improve the information about weather so it benefits the normal people much better. And in that way we put up a cascade model, so the meteorological department, they come up with the key data, and then they disseminate that to the county meteorological officers, who again disseminates the knowledge to key persons in the society. And in that way we hope to make it possible for the farmers to plan much better for when to plant, when to sow, when they should be aware of pest attacks. And also more in the long term, we are able to predict pretty good now if a season will become more wet than usual, or if it will become more dry than usual. And then at an early point, the farmers will be able to take decisions on what and how to grow their crops.
This program felt that many times a lot of weather data is generated by the meteorology department, and it doesn't really find its way to the user on the ground for purposes of planning. So we felt as a program that the support to meteorology department to really bring up discussion between the experts in meteorology and the end users, who are actually the farmers and other sector government ministries, where they require this data for their planning purposes. This is now where component 4 talks about. And this is where we are trying, in as much as we want to shift development to green development pathway, we also want to at least also assist the communities to adapt to the impacts of climate change. And one way of assisting communities to adapt to the impact of climate change is for them to understand the weather data that is being generated by the meteorology department, so that they are able to plan for when to grow their crops. They are able to plan when to harvest, so that these post-harvest losses are also minimized. So these are the things, these are the entry points of discussion between the meteorological staff and the end users, who are the communities, and also the other government agencies.
Downscaling of weather forecast is fundamental physical principles and is able to take into account considerations of small-scale effects of land surface and weather patterns.
We have moved from giving the usually normal or above normal or below normal to giving the range, for example, of a particular area, 5 kilometer by 5 kilometer grid. So we co-develop their agricultural advisory with the Ministry of Agriculture. We also have in Kenya Red Cross and the Ministry of Interior and the County Commissioner, where now they have highlighted the areas and identified the areas prone to landslide flooding.
With the training and the downscaling, we are able now to understand the forecast and to be able to advise our farmers. And with that information, we are able to decide on the crops that are fit for the given season.
Walikuwa hawafiki kwa ground, tulikuwa naona tu, lakini kwa wakati huu ambayo wameanza kuja mpaka kwa county yenyewe, tunaomba waendelee mpaka kwa sub county, mpaka kwa ward, hata mpaka wapi, mpaka kwa village. Kwa vile hata saa hii wakati sisi tumekutoka hapa, tumeona challenges itakuwa kidogo kwa vile sisi tunaenda kueneza hiyo lugha kwa watu wetu.
Participatory Scenario Planning, or PSP, provides that opportunity through workshops carried out as an innovative and inclusive way of communicating climate information to communities, value chain stakeholders, and sector departments in the counties.
Long time ago, where we didn't have the PSP, it was very difficult for the farmers to believe our focus. But now, because we are engaging every day, every time, they are now having their confident level is growing, and also the trust of the forecast is very much growing. Most farmers and all the sectors, they are really consumers of the weather and climate information because of the PSP.
Itatusaidia kwa sababu tukiambiwa nao watu wa Meteorological kwamba mvua inyeshi, lazima tuamke. Kama ni kuuza ng'ombe unauza, kama ni unaambiwa kata nyasi unakata, unaweka hay zako kwa store. Kwa hivyo inatusaidia sana, kwa sababu hiyo ni masomo imekuja mashinani. Wakati ya mbele hatukuwa tunapata watu wa mashinani, watu walikuwa wanakuja mashinani, watu walikuwa wanaenda Nairobi, lakini sasa hivi watu wamekuja chini ground, wanakuja kutuambia mvua iko karibu, unaonyeshwa hata unatumiwa kwa simu kwamba hata hizo nini mawingu zinaenda chini, badala ikuje zinaenda chini. Kwa hivyo inatusaidia sana, inatupa hekima ya kujua kwamba wakati huu sio mzuri, na niyo hekima ndiyo tulikosa. Kwa hivyo mimi naona ni kitu mzuri sana. Mzuri sana sana.
Scenario planning supports all stakeholders in value chains to take advantage of the emerging opportunities and strengthen their resilience to recurrent droughts and other climate-related threats to food security.
Lately, we have seen an upsurge of our information uptake from the farmers themselves, and they have even told us that their productivity has increased. Somebody who was maybe making, let's say, around 20 bags, now is making almost 40 bags and above, meaning that the information now that they are getting is quite useful. So it's upon ourselves now to partner with all the stakeholders to see what else can we add. What value can we add to some of the information that we give them? And this is exactly what we are trying now to engage our stakeholders in these forums.
The goal is to generate more locally relevant projections of long-term weather patterns in the counties.
Once we receive information from the Met Department telling us the type of weather we expect ahead, then this information we first of all send it to our sub-counties during our normal meetings, either quarterly or monthly meetings. We advise our staff, and once they get that information, during their public meetings, and even us from the county when we go out, we try to share what is that to be carried out.
weather forecasting is the single most important practical reason for the existence of meteorology as a science.
Initially, they were using this forecast without really getting a proper interpretation of how it impacts their activities. But from the time we started using PSPs as a way of disseminating climate information and informing or making it to be understood, the sectoral experts have increased the uptake. You know, they are now using it better than they were using it, because at some point they would not understand the forecast properly. But in these forums of PSP, the forecast is explained very well, and the interaction between their sector and the climate information is clearly brought out, and therefore they are able to now use it properly. What I've noticed is now the stakeholders have now started demanding for the information even when we delay a bit, which means there is need for that information and the uptake has increased.
The information we get from this forum, set by our Meteorological Department and the Ministry of Agriculture, Environment and Livestock, it is going to cascade downwards through all our members who attended that forum in part of the civil society that is now in the Nyumba Kumi side, such that when we were told the planting is going to be done at this time, they are going to spread the word using several media. They could use radio, they could use messages through SMS, WhatsApp groups, Facebook. All those that information will be disseminated to the various farmers.
Accurate weather forecasts give information across the land for on-livelihoods activities that both affect plants and animals, airspace for airports on flights movements that are landing and taking off, and oceans about speed of winds to assess water waves. It's a boost of the most vulnerable sectors, with climate change assisting in mitigation and adaptation, where investments in natural capital and sustainable use of natural resources plays a key role, and where opportunities for fostering green growth and creating employment are significant.
At the end of this program, we want to see a more shift in terms of development into recognizing circular economy, into actually recognizing the need for resource use efficiency, and we want to see a decoupling where we want to use less resources but develop. Because these resources we require today, we also require these resources tomorrow. So for us to be able as government to ensure that we develop, we continue with our economic development, and at the same time ensure that over time the resources that we are using must remain available even to the generations to come. That is the ultimate wish of this particular program. It's about creating awareness. It's about getting critical mass of people and champions who would actually see the need for sustainable development and the need to ensure that the resource use is actually put into use in a more efficient and effective manner.